Welcome back. You're all doing very well in keeping time, and we now have a panel discussion with participants from professional bodies. The title of the panel is Challenges for the Profession, Funding and Governance, but I expect that they will talk in their introductory comments about a wide range of things, what it means to be a membership body, education and development, scope of their activities, support for members, and the contribution to business. So we can have a wide-ranging discussion of any of the topics that we discussed before lunch, but I won't mention lunch too many times. And as with the last panel, we'll look for initial contributions of only about 5 minutes, and then that will leave plenty of time for questions and discussion, because I gather from speaking to people at lunchtime that everyone very much values the opportunity to ask questions and debate issues. So, if I can proceed along the line here, I'll start off by asking Alexander if you'd like to make some comments of yours about what you've heard this morning and how you think it relates to the reality of your body and the situation in Russia.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, dear friends, we had a pleasure from the first hand to hear before lunch, to hear the information about the development of the Institute of the Chartered Accountants and Auditors of England and Wales. Thank you very much, Robin, Robert, and Martin, for very interesting information. And from their presentations, we came to a conclusion that the profession of auditor is very important for every Stromach. The social aspect, not only it has a very important social aspect in our countries, but in Great Britain and in other countries, we are facing major challenges concerning the development of our profession, and the state regulators conduct this work, and we heard about it. And in order to fulfill the functions that we have to perform, we have to do the necessary bodies to organize this activity. Even if we comply together, all the members of our organizations, all together, they're less than 140,000 members of ICAEW. We have 7,000 members in our organizations. But what we're doing, it's very needed, it's necessary, and we try to do it with honesty and integrity, the way we understand it. And, of course, to organize it, we need to have good financing. And all the professional organizations of the world, the main source of financing is the membership fee. And when we're talking about membership fee, we can treat it in a different way in different countries, different organizations solve this problem differently. Perhaps it depends on to what extent this institution of auditing has been developed. In Russia, it has been developing since 1980 and in the 90s. And during this time, the institution of auditing has not become strong and powerful enough to have the self-financing. Not practically all the questions of our professional development can be solved by our body, but we're trying to do it, and we're doing it quite successfully. Talking about the membership fees, judged by the presentations that we heard today, we understood that the membership fee, both ICAEW is financed by 75% from the membership fees. There are different percentages in different countries. And probably I can tell you more about the Russian Collegiate of Auditing. of which I'm the president. Approximately 60% of the financing is done through the membership fees, and the situation in Russia is such that perhaps this money is not entirely enough to fulfill all our tasks, but we do not have the possibilities to increase the membership fees because they reach the upper limit. So we have to try to find other sources of financing. And I think that every institution has to face this. What are the other sources of finances? The sources of financing can come from the professional institution, from the development, from the constant professional development. I know that the Institute of Professional Accountants in India, the president of organization told me, they do not at all use the membership fees. They actually get financing from the CPD process. And the president is elected for 2 years, and they even have an official competition. Who of them will be able to have more financing for the organization? And they do it because of various events. And that's what we do. So besides CPD process, which gives about 7% of financing, which is not too much, 7-8% for financing of our body is not too much, but we still have it. But financing we have also from the quality control, and besides paying for the controllers, this process of the quality control, quality assurance gives us another source of financing. And of course, we understand that it should increase it, and we should increase this sort of financing through conducting professional mass events with attraction of auditors, of accountants, when during these events we are discussing the challenges that we're facing. Perhaps we're not conducting that many events like such. Perhaps we are not very experienced how to do it on the paid basis. Maybe because our organizations are non-commercial ones. And of course, there are certain things that we still have to solve. But we're learning from our colleagues from various countries, from the CIS countries, and from our colleagues from abroad, in order to be able to solve the matters of financing in such a way that we have the opportunity for our institutions to implement the challenges that we're facing. And it's such a good an opportunity that we have the possibility to meet each other and to learn the positive experience of event organizing from each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And can I now turn to Marina to give a different perspective?
Thank you very much, Robert. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Здравствуйте, дорогие коллеги.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you from the point of view from the professional body of the Republic of Moldova. And today we're talking about the experience of ICAEW, which we can use in our part of the world. So that's what is going to be the topic of our body. And we're all talking about sustainability, consistency. And this is our professionalism, our financing, and from the point of view of professional point of view, we're the professional body, and we should be the center of excellence, center of knowledge, and we should do everything which is in our power to give services for our members from the point of view of ethics, education, implementation of international auditing standards, FRS, and the others. Reputation, the second part. We talked a lot about the reputation, and I would like to support our colleagues who said that the reputation, it takes years to gain good reputation. And at the moment in the UK, this profession is more than 100 years old, and we talked a lot about approaches, and I would like to be a little bit critical. Of course, we can copy services, so-called the certification programs with so wonderful brochures. We can also issue the certificate for the financial reporting, which we got the ICAEW. We can use other products. We can use about different level of servicing of our members. We can, roughly speaking, buy our members by the number of services that we give us. Very good hotlines there, which we're having here. And people are talking about ethical questions. And I don't know how many people who are present here can afford to have such colleagues who would be able to conduct the hotlines. We tried to create the hotlines, but it was done on the voluntarily procession. Our professional certified members would come and give consultation several times a week for several hours a day. They would do it, but it took some time. The list of services that we give, the list of services were very much described during the forum in Bulgaria, in Sofia, which was mentioned and which took place about a month ago. And this experience was relevant for our part of the world. But if we talk about the reputation should be earned. And that's why I think that for the CIS and Russian-speaking countries, we should think well enough how well and how accurately we should copy the system of the approach, the system that is used in the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom, it's all based on the art and science system, the ethical problems as well, and the problems that emerge among the members. It is all being solved through the people with competence, from the institutions and bodies with confidence. Yesterday we were talking that those people who leave the profession, who retire, yes, those members who retire because of the age, they should ask themselves, during my profession, how proud I can be of my activity. Am I not ashamed to look people in the eye during all my years of professional development? And I think in the CIS country and the Russian-speaking countries, we cannot base it on this principle, because we all emerged from the strictly regulated system of rules. Now we're learning the international standards of financial reporting, of auditing. We were teaching all our accountants to have critical approach. Unfortunately, we do not have such reputation. So for us, it's more understandable when it's all regulated. If it is Mr. Smirnov, if I understand correctly, he said that the recipe for our countries is time to gain the reputation through the years, how to gain the reputation from the state and from the professional bodies. We should think very well. Perhaps we shouldn't just copy the best practice. Perhaps it's not quite possible. When we're talking about the certification, certificates awarding, about practices, about internship, about practical work, our professionals are not basing their judgment on reputation, but they want to have the regulation. They want to have the set of rules. They would like to have the scientific approach. And perhaps I would like us all to discuss it. How much do you think we can use this aspect of basing it on the how much we can use the principle that is used in United Kingdom, how much we can use it in our countries, because it's very interesting to exchange the opinions. And the very last moment talking about the membership. From the presentation which I heard in Sofia, the World Bank made the analysis from the assessment questionnaires. And in the questionnaires, there's part 1 and part 2. From the membership fees, 15% comes from the professional bodies from England and Wales. And Moldova, from the membership, we get only 5%. In the structure of income is only 5% from the membership. 85% is from the educational problems, CPD, IPD, publications 1.5, and donors pay and sponsors about the rest. So it's very important for us to gain the experience from the present organization, from ICAEW, how to attract membership and how to use it to the best way. Thank you.
And we've already got from the first two contributions, I think, some points to discuss. But we'll accumulate some more points to discuss by turning now to my left and asking Lyubov if she has some reflections on what she's heard so far.
I would like to say that listening to the first session, when we were talking, that today we skated across we made a sort of nice roundabout about the activity of ICAEW. I think it wasn't just a walk around, it was a real marathon. We had a wonderful opportunity to learn about it because it's a global organization. And the number of years that this organization exists talks for itself. And having learned just a little bit, touched upon about the activity of this organization, first of all, we realized that, first of all, each of us exists in our legislative field, legislative sphere. Each of our countries has its own history, and to say that we should easily take the experience from other countries and implement it into our work, it's not so easy. Sometimes it's virtually impossible. And trust from the regulators' point of view, it's the time to gain this trust. It takes a long time, and we should prove this trust with our work and with our activity. What I liked most of all about the activity of ICAEW is the culmination of the process when it starts from the preparatory stage, the certification, the quality assurance, the disciplinary measures, the special other measures. It's very good when the regulation of the profession is all happening, so to say, in one place and one platform, because it's very important to divide the regulatory functions between the state and between the professional organizations, because if everything is taken into account, then we will have this momentum, which we witnessed in ICAEW. And from the financing point of view, In Kazakhstan, unfortunately, 90% of our activities and implementation of our strategies is done through the membership fees. Of course, we plan to broaden the spectrum of services for our members, including the education and including other aspects in future. Now we have a very acute question. It's the question is the external auditors, to find the external auditors and to employ them permanently. Unfortunately, we cannot employ them permanently. It's because of the crisis, it's because of the requirements that are going to be higher and higher. The regulators are always telling us about. What else worries me is the person who runs the professional organization. Unfortunately, small business quits the market. It's been talked about before. It's quite a topical question. And I think that the procedures, the standards and methodology that we're talking about, we shouldn't cross over this bureaucratic red tape, which will create barriers for us to develop our business further. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lyubov, which now leaves us with Nurlan to make his the final contributions from the panel here before we have a little discussion at the panel before then asking you to make your contributions. Nurlan.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about two main things that we're discussing, financing and governments. Of course, we understand that every organization, everybody needs money. It's even beyond discussion. It doesn't even mean doesn't even matter what is the structure of income, whether it is 90% or 5%, both of them are financially restricted. So it means that it's not a panacea to have money coming either from this source or from the other source. My personal observation is, and I've been doing it for a long time, what is our difference between the business, the actual business structure, because we cannot divide our income. People think it's a non-profitable organization. People think it's even wrong to be profitable. I think it's wrong. We should learn how to be able to be profitable. We should learn it. What is the structure of income? I listened very attentively from the ICAEW, and 47% comes from the membership fee. And we should take into account the amazing experience of this organization. It exists for 130 years. It has been through many crises, internal, external, global, on the personal level, and they managed to survive and overcome it. It's a vast experience that we should use for any professional organizations, for any country. They should use this experience. Money should be earned, and it should be earned properly, wisely. And I should think that we should use all this methodology that are used by the actual business, including the ethical problem, because business shouldn't violate ethical. The next thing is the governance. The difficulty is when we have our members, they are not like the shareholders, minority or majority shareholders. They're all equal, and we should govern them. And when there are lots of them, how can we choose the model of governance so that it is a sustainable organization and it is sustainable governance? And now you see this tendency, particularly in the CIS country, and a lot of professional organizations are used as an official umbrella for co-opting business. No, I'm against it. To service the public interest should be very clearly defined, because if it is used for pursuing private business, that should be stopped, because that could be used as one of the elements of corruption, and one should be very attentive to draw a very strict line and implement better governance practices. I looked with great attention at all the documents of a lot of professional organizations from the CIS countries, and none of them showed the code of government, the corporate code of governance. Unfortunately, at the moment, that is not the norm in these organizations, but I think it's only a question of time. I think ICAEW has this document, and although they must have something which covers upon this, and that's why it's very important to take into account, to implement better methods of become profitable, and implement the best practices of governance with, of course, using the specific voice of every member of every organization. But we were talking that everyone has its own voice, and we should go all in one direction and not to go into different direction. But the most important aim that we should pursue is the development of our profession and the service of the public and the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those contributions. I said we'd just have a little discussion on the panel before throwing it open to all of you. And maybe I could just, if you're all listening to me, just ask a question about the role that members play in helping you achieve your goals. I pick up the point that actually you all rely to a significant extent on member contributions. Monetary contributions, but what are the what's the sort of degree of involvement of the membership in their body, and is this a way of overcoming some of the financial constraints? Do you find that people want to contribute, or do they expect to receive a service? And maybe for Norland it's a little different, since your members are themselves bodies, but I'd just be curious as to how committed your members are to making a contribution, rather than expecting purely a service for their subscription. Anyway, anyone who'd like to respond to that, I'd be enthusiastic about hearing a thought.
Well, if we take our experience, well, I can say confidently that not those who are remunerated for their work, like the board members and the staff, promote their body, professional body, in the matters that it's facing. The staff is 150 people. These are people who work in the committees and regional committees and the central board, in territorial, in districts in Russia. There are 8 districts where members of our professional body work there. And they work there because it's interesting for them, because they are interested in promotion of the organization. And there is an understanding among the members that the effectiveness of the organization as a whole depends on everyone's work, everyone's contribution, which is very important, because many organizations like ours doesn't have enough money at the moment to really reward the contribution of work of everyone. So it's important also to feel that the objectives will be achieved, because the work is done not by 10 people on the board or the small people on the staff of the organization, but by active members as well. And now, in preparation for the general meeting, which in early June, we have analyzed the experience and the results, and there are some very good positive results. We're going to share them and identify them. So the power of an organization is not in those who who work for a certain salary. A very topical question about membership fees. I've encountered quite a lot of time. A lot of members think this way. That's true. That's their approach. Yes, I pay a membership fee and I expect services for the same value. But I have to explain to them that it's actually not payment for a service. It's for the common purpose. It's like with the government. When the government collects taxes, we don't expect some kind of preferences or privileges to the value of the tax we pay. The taxes go for the common good, and then we report to the members what we have done, what we haven't done, and of course we can be challenged or rewarded for success. Well, I would like to say that I can give ourselves as much credit as Alexander. We've got about 50 members on the committee. Of course, they're loyal, they're committed, because any initiative, any work is normally carried out by some core or active core, and I should say that all our committees operate on completely voluntary basis. We know that auditors' work is a very hard work, and sometimes it doesn't allow people even to get enough sleep, not to mention perform some voluntary activities. But still, thanks to this commitment and joint effort, we implement our strategy. Thank you. I would like to be optimistic as well, but reality in our small country is such that just in terms of market size, there are about 120 auditing firms, about 250 licensed auditors in the market. We've got voluntary membership, certification programs, and everything else as voluntary. So all the members work on a voluntary basis in all committees, and the mindset, of course, is that the membership fees, and I don't even want to say how much, because it's not 50 euros per year, even less. The members expect certain services for this membership fees, but still through involvement in international conferences, in committees, in forums, in professional programs, gradually we are changing this mindset and moving towards that very correct and right principle, that principle where members organize us, not we organize members, and members do things for themselves mostly. And of course, this kind of 7 people on the staff, on the board cannot resolve all the issues and matters that all the members are facing in their practice and development. And in a few years' time, as our professional body grows and develops and matures, I'm sure we'll come to what we're talking now, to what you have an organization which is more than 100 years old. I think we'll come to this as well.
Very good. Thank you. So now it's your turn. We have, as ever, a microphone. And do I see any hands? It's a good job I've got some more questions. Ah, a hand here. Alan, it's good to hear from you again. We haven't heard for a little while.
Я не могу сразу говорить и слушать.
Well, I cannot see, talk, and listen at the same time. My question is that, yes, I understand membership fees is an important thing, but on the other hand, one has to be quite independent from members themselves, because loss of membership fees is a quite tricky thing. Auditors are used to maintain independence within such conflict of interest. But my question is about 50-50. You've got funding from membership fees and other activities. It's good. It's a good ratio. It's better than in India, where nothing depends on membership contributions. But my question is, this 50% you collect in membership fees, what I mean, U.S. Institute of Chartered Accountants, do the membership fees depend or related to the earnings of a particular member or a company? Is it so? If it's so, I'm sure there are some large companies that pay, for example, 25 of this 50% of your general membership income. Have you got an issue like that?
So I take it that was a question mainly about ICAEW. And a reference back to the 50% of the income being from members. Well, once the membership has voted on the subscription rate, the way in which the funds are spent is not under the control of the people who've put the money in. It's quite clear. And also the point which I was going to raise actually with the panelists was there is this distinction between what ICAEW is, which is a professional accountancy body that has some members who do auditing, and it's a relatively small proportion who do auditing, an important proportion, but a relatively small. That's different from being a body of auditors. And I just wonder, and don't attack me if this is unrealistic, but is it feasible to think of a professional body which is actually for people who have trained as auditors but have gone on to do other things and who are bound together by their common interest in high quality financial reporting and corporate governance? That includes auditors, but it also includes people in the financial sector, people in business, people in regulation and investment. Is it feasible? Because the constraints, which I fully appreciate, around auditing bodies means that there will always be those sorts of concerns that that Alan raises about, well, do we have the big audit firms kind of dominating the income, but also maybe means that the strength of the profession is less. So it's maybe a heretical thought, but is it possible to move beyond bodies which are primarily about auditing? It might be too heretical a thought, but I don't know if anyone wants to take that up, or anyone from the audience. Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry, just to clarify, I took it that your point on the percentage of income from particular firms was from the audit firms, but the audit firms represent a minority of the membership and a clear minority of the total income, which is highly dispersed amongst the 140,000 members, of whom less than a quarter work in the large networks. So it's very widely dispersed. Oh, I don't know if Jeffrey is going to take up my my question about can we move beyond auditing, but I look for your contribution.
Well, firstly, a comment on fees, which can vary. If we take the German profession, which is a profession of auditors, not of accountants, and therefore the financing is perhaps equivalent to the auditing faculty of the English Institute, then first of all, auditors are members of the chamber as a physical person, and they pay an annual fee which is equal for everyone. And then the auditing firms pay a fee which is on a sliding scale and depends on turnover. So there's a mixed figure, and the guys who earn more money, not directly through their physical being, but through their firms, pay much, much more than the basic fee. And I think that's a reason for that. On the question of what you do with ex-auditors, the German solution is you kick them out, and it's a pure auditing profession. If you're not actively auditing, or if you're doing anything else which is in conflict with the moral stature of the auditor, you have to leave. That's one way of looking at it. If you look across Europe, you'll find various models. There are some countries with a mixed accounting and auditing model, and others with a pure auditing model, and I think that depends very much on history. I suspect that if the UK had created its profession 20 years ago, then it would not have the mixed institutes. Well, first of all, it wouldn't have 6 CCAB institutes, it would have 1. And then it would be clearly divided between auditing and non-auditing. If you look at countries with a bit of mixture, like Holland or France, there are always reasons for this. I'm not sure it's the model to follow today. However, Russia has 20 years of history and has both models.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Oh, we have a microphone here.
Спасибо.
Thank you. It's from Kyrgyzstan. Mr. Robert has made a very good presentation. We got a clear answer about what makes people members and remain members in the organization, and the answer is the mandatory requirements. In order to be a certified accountant and auditor, you have to be a member of a professional body. I think that in post-Soviet countries, one of the main problems in attracting membership is the lack of such mandatory government requirements, absence of this professional body membership. And in our countries, that leads to the situation where some auditing organizations, auditing bodies fall out of the system of quality control and assurance. Well, we've got about more than 100 auditing firms and over 200 certified auditors, and in our country. And the question is, in your opinion, how important is mandatory legislating? How important is it to legislate professional body membership for auditors' professional qualifications? Because as I understand, that's the case in UK, but I don't know about other countries. What is the situation in Russia, in Moldova, in Kazakhstan?
Just before people answer the question, could I just clarify that there's a requirement to be a member of one of the recognised professional bodies in the UK to be an auditor. But first of all, there's competition amongst different bodies, and we all find that all the competing bodies, that our members who are required to be members is a very small minority. Most of the people working in business or in public practice have no requirement to be a member of an institute. So it's purely if you're operating in a regulated field, and in that case there's actually a degree of competition. But maybe throw it along the line here to see if people get thoughts about the extent to which there should be requirements to be members of professional bodies.
Из 25 лет
of 25 years of experience of audit in Russia, 23 years had no mandatory membership requirements. But over the recent years, an institution of self-regulation was introduced in Russia, and the law stipulates that every auditor, every auditing firm must be members of professional bodies registered in the central register. But there's a lot of discussions whether it's useful or not, this mandatory membership. But practice shows that the argument for usefulness of this mandatory membership is one. There were lots of problems. One of them was a lack of quality control. There was lack of information about who does what in auditing field, not being a member of a professional body. Currently in Russia, there are 5 self-regulating organizations, and all practicing auditors, active auditors, are members of one of those 5. And therefore, all the future steps is aimed at creating common toolbox, common rules for auditors in our market. Thank you. I think it depends probably on division of regulatory function between the government and SROs, because some control supervision functions are with your Ministry of Finance, as I understand. In Kazakhstan, the mandatory membership always existed, so maybe we haven't avoided something. Well, we maybe lost out on something else. I don't know. But I think here you just need to discuss it, negotiate with the authorities, with the regulators, and understand if the functions are not burdensome for them and they're doing fine about this, and that's the way. If not, maybe something should be kind of transferred over, because I think that sometimes it's easier to go into detail of matters, profession-related matters within the SRO, because it's not a simple profession. And I think that Kazakhstan approach seemed to us more acceptable and convenient.
Thank you, Robert.
As for Moldova, well, we're still at the stage of a voluntary membership. Well, auditing profession is about 20 years old now. The first decree was in the same year as in Russia, and now we are working on legislating the mandatory membership, or if on mandatory membership to be reflected in the legislation. On the other hand, in the Republic there are several professional bodies, and in order to achieve our mission, public interest, and to comply with ethics and quality, discipline, and so on requirements. I think such a mandatory membership would be a benefit because there are auditors there who are not members of any professional bodies. And it's difficult to ensure quality assurance and control with respect to such auditors. On the other hand, such mandatory requirements should apply not just to auditors but professional associations as well, professional bodies. So there is an accounting association that could be used as a basis, or IFAC could be a model for this. Even if I'm not a member of IFAC, all the members could join it in terms of requirements. We've got both auditors and accountants in our organization. With accounts as well, also had an idea that at least with accountants who sign accounts, not those who work who are hired by businesses and so on, and work in other sectors like trade, industry, construction, education, but at least those who sign the accounts would be at least would pass not just a whole certification program, but at least some elements like reporting, IFRS, or something else. And also there's a regulator's interest as well in ensuring competency of account users in terms of their training and skills. It could be, say, like 46 CPD hours of CPD, which is mandatory. But I want to support Robert here as well. So, however, we want mandatory membership. It's a double-sided coin. Yes, of course, we want mandatory membership now. We'll come through this, but eventually we'll come to the situation when the market is going to regulate the quality of our members and the quality of our services, and nothing stops us providing high-quality services and provide high-quality training to our members and to non-members, so that non-members would want to become our members. So this is the potential for every professional body. If you are aspiring for quality compliance and high professional standards, I think this approach would probably be beneficial for us. I think in 10 years' time we'll be probably discussing the question about benefits of non-mandatory membership. But at the moment, mandatory membership seems quite useful for us, at least in our country.
Question of the market versus mandatory membership.
Мы тут слушали, я вот слушал мнение.
Well, I hear that people represent auditors. There's another group which is much more numerous, accountants. In Kazakhstan, there are 700 auditors, but as for professional accountants work in real business, not those who have formal qualifications and education, there are about 50 to 100,000 professional accountants like this in Kazakhstan. So how accountant, not being an auditor, how an accountant could become a member? I think in Kazakhstan, I think there is a sensible combination of centralized approach. Well, I cannot expect authorities to negotiate. They just issue acts and directives, and we have to perform them. And there's another encouragement mechanism here. So, for example, in our accountants' chamber in Kazakhstan, we've been thinking for a long time how to attract members by avoiding coercion or mandatory membership. One motivation is benefits. So the person should be beneficial for a person to become a member in terms of motivation, in terms of status. And we've run a survey among our members, and we've got about 4,500 members. We ask them what are the reasons to become a member. And most of them responded there is membership of a professional community. They want to be part of a professional community, part of the forum and the discussion. So when they mentioned here lobbying, kind of, and lobbying the profession and the government and so on, I think that government here should sensibly apportion the mechanisms to avoid herding and to attract members as well. In our legislation, there is a mandatory membership for professional accountants and professional organizations, but that's quite recent, about probably it's appeared 3 months ago. Maybe I'm correct. Will correct me. But we haven't witnessed sharp rise in membership in our organization. We still have the same membership as before. We've got a natural expansion and natural outcome, a reduction of membership as well. So if we ignore state government regulations, the second mechanism is benefit. Benefit. I'm not talking about financial benefits because accountants are status conscious people. They want to have status in the society, and they usually do. Thank you.
We're close to the end of our time, but if somebody has a final question for our panelists, I'd be pleased to take it. Very good. The microphone is on its way. Thank you.
Скажите, пожалуйста.
Please tell me, would it be possible for a professional body to finance the other body? I'm talking about the board for auditors, which supervises the other body. Is it possible for one body to finance the other body? Is it the correct way of things?
Me that can an auditors body establish another body, but I'm not sure whether anyone wants to take the question. Thank you, Lyubov. You helped me out of a hole there.
I think is an option. There can be a combined way. Maybe it is wise and justified on certain stages of development of this profession in a country. I would like to say that now in Kazakhstan, the supervisory functions are given to the regulator in fulfilling the legislation for the additional supervision of the leasing companies. This function is performed by our commodity organizations, of our and that is why I think in an ideal way that such a body is financed from other sources, even if it is from the sources of the market participants, from the companies that use the services. That would be more ideal. But on a certain period of development, of evolution, it is permissible, because the idea of the supervisory body is a very correct and healthy one, as opposed to supervising the activities of the market. Thank you.
Passionate contribution here.
Question. Да.
Here we are discussing even the coffee break. about the membership fees. Could you please tell me what is the total sum of the membership fees in your organization? What I mean, what is the annual membership fee? Because we're discussing about participation or the lack of participation of the members, but it all depends on how much is the membership fee, because it should be acceptable for participation, and for the potential member, it shouldn't be an overbearing one. And that's why it's very interesting for me to see what is the actual annual membership fee. If you allow me, there's no secret about the membership fee amount. And every site of every organization has its own membership fee. This is not a secret. You can read it on the website of everybody. But at least in Russia, they have the physical bodies and the legal entities. As the non-commercial partners, and the membership fee for the physical body is fixed for all the bodies, and it is approximately 2,000 to 2,500 rubles a year. So it's quite a small amount annually. And also, according to the same single scheme, we have the membership fees for the legal entities. And this is a table which gives the correlation between the annual amount of every member. And look at our site, and you can see all the information there.
Everyone's very transparent in terms of their membership fees, and the same would apply to ICAEW. I just can't quite remember myself what my annual fee is. Maybe just a little note of history, following on the question about how might you have accountants who aren't auditors in a professional body that's based upon auditors. It's a little bit different in our history, but we used to be a body which didn't, as Jeffrey talked about in Germany, throw people out once they ceased to be in public practice, which almost always meant being an auditor. We didn't throw people out, but we used to have discrimination, which meant that they couldn't be involved in the governance of the institute. They also couldn't become fellows of the institute. And the people who were members of the institute but treated as second-class citizens or not encouraged to stay rebelled. They actually did it in 1942, when you might have thought that people in London had other things to worry about, and maybe that's why it was a good time to do it. At a time of national unity, they said, why are the accountants in this institute who have been auditors, why are we no longer empowered to take part in our institute as full members? And a lot of them were working in vital roles in industry, and there was no argument. Since then, our non-auditors and our non-public practicing accountants have refused to go away, and they are now the majority of our members. So maybe it would just be in some bodies that what would happen if people refused to leave membership. It's quite interesting, but you can always have popular movements saying we want to remain members of the profession. So, on that note, we now have to have a little changeover, because the excellent panel here will all disappear back into the mass out there, and some more people will join us up here. So please don't go far. I'm not sure that you've really got time to go to the street, have a cigarette and get back in time, but within 5 minutes we will be starting again, have another panel, and then there will be another coffee break after that. But there's no coffee now, there's just a short break for us to change the panel. But can you just thank our 4 panelists here this afternoon?